All right, we are back for another Friday financial wrap up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
You have no idea how much I look forward to these. You give me the opportunity to look back on busy weeks and really get the three or four topics that are most meaningful, most interesting, and better yet, you ask me questions that allow me to go deeper. So, dude, thank you so much.
I love it, man. This is I'm excited to, it's good to be close to the campfire. This is for April the 12th, 2024. We are not through the woods. CPI, what's going on with CPI? What did you see this week? Your thoughts on CPI?
Well, we talked a little bit about inflation last week, and inflation this year, the first couple of months, we're heading in the wrong direction, right? We stopped the downward trajectory and we came back. There were some opinions, some thoughts that January and February were quote unquote noisy because of all the year-end adjustments. And the thought, or maybe I should say hope, was March would come in and we would be back to trend and inflation would be slowly dissipating. Well, Ty, that did not happen and did not happen in a monstrous way. All the expectations were missed. All the expectations were missed to the high side. And we've got some really concerning numbers. There was a number that Jerome Powell talked about called supercore. This was basically Jerome Powell's answer to shelter inflation being a lagging indicator. So what is it? You take headline inflation, you minus energy, you minus food, and now you minus shelter. And the reason this got Jerome Powell excited in December was if you annualize the last 3 months, it was showing inflation under 2%. So I think we talked about it back in December. The Fed was winning. Well, Jerome Powell made super core important because he talked about it. Today, or as of Wednesday, when we looked at super core on a 3 month annual basis, Ty, yep, it's 8% plus. And just in case you're confused, 8% is bad.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's bad. And also, we've talked about for a long time, there are three components of inflation: goods, stuff, services, yep, wages, and shelter. Yep. We're seeing goods deflation, but it's a very small part of the US economy. Services up and sticky and heading the wrong direction. And shelter is just slowly drifting down. So inflation bad. The Fed is not winning. All the trajectory looks higher. Not good, not good, not good.
Yeah, it's interesting because you've been saying this, hey, we're not through the woods, higher for longer. There's still a lot of stuff going on economically. I know we're going to talk about Jamie Dimon toward the end of it, CEO of JP Morgan Chase. Let's continue. Michelle Bowman, the Fed pres, what did she have to say, and kind of tell me the importance of her words this week?
Yeah, so if you guys remember, I think it was 3 weeks ago, I actually wore on this show my green swing and a miss t-shirt. It might have been a month ago. And the reason I wore that is I really did believe with every fiber of my body that one or two Fed presidents in what is called their dot plot, they would say, hey, we might have to go higher. And unfortunately, all 19 of them did not say that. So I admitted I was wrong. I always admit when I'm wrong, swing and a miss. I did that. Well, Michelle Bowman, to her credit, came out, I think it was on Sunday or Saturday or Sunday or Monday of this week, and said, you know what? We may have to go higher. So I wish they would have done it before, but at least we have one. And maybe after these horrible CPI and PPI prints, we'll have more. And again, I want people to be clear. I don't actually think the Fed has to go higher. I think the Fed has to have the threat of going higher.
Yep.
And the market reacts. I've said that for a long time. So I was hoping for two a month ago. As of this week, we finally have our first, and it's Michelle Bowman. I want to give her props for being the first. Hopefully there will be a second, and it could happen as soon as this weekend. We'll see.
Very interesting. I know we're going to talk about PPI mortgage rates, but I need a timeout. My palms are sweating. I'm a little nervous right now. I want to real quick. I was supposed to say this in the beginning of the show, You're doing a meetup. We're doing a meetup. Tell them
We are
about
doing a
this.
meetup.
We are
Yeah.
doing a meetup. Chino is hosting. He set it up. Tell people about the meetup real quick. We need some good news right now. A little break. Let's get some good news in here.
So one of the things people should know, hopefully, if they're following our channel, we are producing a show called Buying Vegas. You're the producer. I'm the talent. I guess I'm the talent, the checkbook, but you're the producer. And one of the things you said we should do, given that WealthCon was happening, is we should fly in a day early. You should fly in a day early. You're going to stay at my house, and we're going to record some content, and we're going to host a meetup, and we're going to meet people. If you have questions, you want to help us with the show, you want to get on the show, it'll just be a good time. You found us a location and a time. And I look forward to seeing all the ORAT fans, all the Sub 2 fans, anybody in Vegas coming through, anybody that's going to WealthCons coming through. Love to have you. No charge. Let's talk real estate. Let's talk buy box. Let's talk buy in Vegas. Whatever you want.
I love it. I'm excited for the meetup, and then we'll make sure that people get the location and that. Okay, thank God there's some positive news. He's gonna, of course, take us to the promised land. We're going to talk about buying deals in Las Vegas. Let's keep going back to the Financial Friday. Let's talk about PPI. What is it and what happened this week?
Yeah, so PPI is producer price index. It's kind of wholesale inflation. It is probably for the average person, you could think of it as a pipeline for inflation. It's like inflation to come. And over the last 6 months or so, generally speaking, PPI has been trending on a healthy way down. Unfortunately, like all things inflation, it's now posting the highest number it has in the last 6 months. And, PPI is telling us that inflation's not done with us. So again, not good news. My hope is after the horrible CPI and PPI print, we get another Fed president other than Michelle Bowman to step up and say the quiet part out loud. We have to go higher. And hopefully that is enough to shake the market and we don't actually have to go higher.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So the idea is that just so that people aren't just going exuberant, crazy, the stock market and just all this exuberance that we're seeing, this frothiness in the market, that people just slow down is really what these are warning signs. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was Greenspan that said one time it's the animal spirits. And I mean, we saw it. I mean, we saw it. We have evidence. We got receipts. When mortgage rates ticked under 7% here I think it was a week or two ago, demand spiked. The
Yep.
numbers showed it. And now we're over 7. And dude, today we're solidly over 7.
That's
So the housing market should be slowing down, which again, we'll get into this in a minute. You could look at it as bad news or you could look at it as good news. It's really up to you, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
definitely opportunity within all of this. That's what this whole show, the whole channel is all about, being able to see the opportunity. Let's talk about the 30-year mortgage. What did you see this week in rates and what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I was talking earlier in the week when rates were over 7, they were about 7.1. I'm like, good, they're over 7.
Yep.
We can finally slow down and heal the market. Then we got that nasty, just dirty CPI reading, and it jumped to like 7.34 or
Yeah.
7.3. That is a massive jump for 24 hours. I talked to all my mortgage brokers, and they're like, dude, this happens like once a decade. And it had just a violent, violent move. Conventional rates went up. And then I talked to real estate agents. And as expected, if your buyer did not lock in, there's a good chance they're going to cancel.
Yeah.
Because again, a 25 basis points, or heaven forbid, a 3/8 move, that changes your mortgage payment. Especially if you're in California, you're talking hundreds of dollars. So yeah, if you like it, lock it's never been more true. Rates are solidly over 7.3 now. The housing market is clearly going to slow down. Transactions are going to slow down. Days on market are going to expand. Inventory is going to build. All of this sounds bad. It's just depending on how you look at it. But yeah, rates are up, up, up. That's for sure.
Very interesting. Higher for longer. We've had that theme for a long time on this show. You've had it on the channel for, more than
More than
probably
a
12
year.
months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
more
more
than a
than
year.
12
Yeah.
months. So let's continue. Let's talk about the housing market. So again, you talked about longer days on market, inventory potentially increasing. I don't think we're going to see a boom in inventory necessarily, still in a low inventory kind of a marketplace. What do you
Yeah.
see in housing?
I just want to remind people to go back and watch what Ty and I talked about last December and then December of 2022. We talked about those specific months being slower.
Yep.
And in a slower market, you can, as a home buyer, get sellers to pay credits, pay
Yep.
for closing costs. They may take slightly less than list. Higher rates are going to allow for less competition. I don't know why people have a problem with this. I get hate for these comments, and I don't get it. We want less. If you're in a housing market with low supply, you want a healthy housing market, and we need inventory to build. We can't get there overnight. It's going to take time. But as it moves forward, a slower housing market means you can do the work. You can write low offers. That's for home buyers and investors. I want to first time home buyers.
Yep.
Hear me. I understand 7.3 sucks. I get it. But in a slower housing market, you could ask sellers to pay points.
Yep.
What if a seller paid 2 points to buy your rate down? Okay, cool. What if they paid for closing costs? What if you did an inspection, found $20,000 in repairs? You could get the seller to fix those before closing.
Yep.
In a hot housing market, you're paying for the repairs. You're buying your rate down. I mean, I get a lot of hate from people when I say 7% rates are good. I want a healthy housing market. And the only way to get there is with time. But in a slower housing market, buyers get the power. In a
Yep.
hot housing market, sellers have the power. If you're a
Yep.
home buyer or investor, you should want slower housing markets.
100%.
Folks, you don't have to pay list price. In a hot housing market, you have to pay over list price. In a slow housing market, you don't have to pay list price.
Yeah. So spot on. So spot on, Michael. And it's interesting. Even before this call, I was doing, some lead follow up and whatnot, talking to sellers. And I've never seen sellers just so overly confident about what the housing market's going to do. And they're just going to fix it up and they're going to put it on the market in August and they're not worried about rates and all this. And I'm
Okay,
like, well,
follow
yeah,
up.
yeah. What if you put the 50 grand into the house and then rates tick up and
Rates
things
go
slow
to
down
8%. Then what
versus
happens?
something now in the, a bird in the hand. So I think again, for investors, for buyers, it's all about patience. This is going to benefit you because it's going to bring us more value and opportunity in the long term. So
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about buying Vegas, right? We're trying to do this show. I like the fact that rates are up. I'm going to be looking for very likely. I haven't really got my buybacks yet, but I want to give people a feeling of where I'm going. Single family home, no HOA,
yep.
probably outdated or four colored. Like I saw a house the other day online that had an accent wall in every room. That's not good. You don't want an accent wall in every, and they were just these bright ass colors, like walking into a rainbow. It was crazy. I'm going to find a house like that no owner occupant wants because you don't want that. You don't want the headache of repairing that. Or I'm going to find one of those 1980s that haven't been touched since they were built. I'm going
Yep.
to find a big yard. I'm going to probably put a casita in the back, and that's probably where I'm going. That's at least where I'm leaning now. But
Yep.
yeah, it's going to be fun. I like the fact that I want a housing market to slow down so I can
Agreed.
find a great deal.
Agreed. Agreed. I think a slower market and I think things slowing down leads to a stable market.
Yeah.
So 100%. I love it. So let's talk about rate cuts. What do you see?
Dude, rate cuts have been wild all year, right? Remember earlier in the year, we were going to have 7 and then 4 and then 3.
Yep.
Market now is pricing in 2. The market says no cut in May, no cut in June, and less than 40% chance in July.
Wow.
Rate cuts are now in September. I personally think a rate cut in September as the first one is a non-starter. So I'm starting to think November. And again,
Interesting.
November rate cut will be after the election. So you
Interesting.
know what? I just made up my mind. I did not think about this ahead of time. I am now changed my first rate cut from July to
November.
November 7th, I think it is. Maybe it's the 8th. Maybe it's November 8th. The after the election.
After the
First rate
election,
cut,
not political.
election. Not political. They don't want to be political.
Non-political, just doing the best of what the economy needs in the moment.
Yep, they're going to do it in November. And I just changed my opinion on the fly. No longer a July rate cut. The first one will be November.
And what could be interesting is no rate cut, which would play into
Oh yeah,
the narrative, the one rental at a time narrative, which is higher for longer.
you know, I'll give you this one. This is a surprise. If you were to ask me the odds for 2024 of rates going up, staying flat, or going down, I think the odds they go up are not inconsequential.
Interesting.
They're non-zero. It's pretty wild. They would not have said that a month ago.
Very interesting time. So we are not through the woods. Speaking of like all of the changes, Jamie Dimon, who you have massive respect for, CEO of JP Morgan, you've quoted saying he's one of the smartest bankers on Wall Street, one of the smartest financial minds in our country.
No doubt.
You know, this guy, and not only that, but I think too, something that I've learned from you is that, and now watching him, he's a straight shooter.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's already got his money. He's paying his legacy. He's not really like some of these younger guys that talk their book and it's obvious.
Right.
He's willing to just put it out there, which I respect. Which not all these big money guys do. No,
not a self-promoter, not promoting in the interest. He's just calling it as he sees it. Tell him what was the news, like him, his published newsletter to his investors.
Yeah.
Talk about what some of the highlights and what your thoughts are from Jamie Dimon this week.
Yeah, so Jamie Dimon didn't mess around. He put out a 33-page kind of investor letter. They're usually 7 or 8 pages, so this one was clearly longer. And basically, to net it out is he's highly concerned about the near term. He's highly concerned about the next 12 to 18 months. He sees lots of converging events, all potentially black swans by themselves. He kind of sees the possibility that they all kind of slam together into this one hurricane just event. Talked about the election, talked about wars overseas, talked about government deficits, talked about inflation. He's just like, we got lots of problems, which in any other time would be bad by themselves. We have them all going on right now. And Jamie Dimon he's afraid. He's afraid.
Yeah. And it's interesting because he's not a doomer. This guy's not a doomer. He's not like different. Robert Kiyosaki's been saying the same thing for the last 12 years.
Doomer. Not
doomer.
Jamie Dimon.
Not Jamie Dimon. And what Jamie, I think too, the thing that was so stood out to me, all the points you mentioned, is he said, be prepared if interest rates go to 8%.
Yeah.
And he said, be prepared also if they drop back down into the 5s, I believe is what
he said.
He positioned it.
He's like, I wouldn't be shocked if they're 8. I wouldn't be shocked if they're 5. I'm like, geez, how do you plan for that?
Interesting. Wow. So we're going to be doing a meetup Wednesday. This next Wednesday, Las Vegas. It's going to be at the Stewart Title. Can we put in the show notes, Michael? Can we put the address and location?
I'll put the address in the show notes. I'll also make it a pinned comment.
Got it. It'll be a pinned comment. So we want you to come out. If you are in Vegas, if you're coming out for WealthCon, for Ryan Pineda's event, it's going to be Wednesday night. We strategically made it Wednesday night because we know a lot of people are coming in on Wednesday. Ryan's event starts on Thursday. We would love to see you there. We're also going to be filming for the show. So would love, and then also if you have projects in Vegas, if you're a realtor, if you're a wholesaler, fix and flipper, you want to show us some of your stuff, we would be happy to talk with you and see if maybe we can get you onto the show. Michael, thoughts about the meetup and just maybe closing thoughts?
Again, it's always great to interact with the community, take pictures, sign books, autographs, ask questions. It allows me to go deeper. Also, again, I have to highlight Olivia's coming. She doesn't go to many events. She has indicated she's coming to this event. She wants to meet the folks. So if you really want a special surprise, get this book autographed by me and Olivia. There's not many people that have us both signed it. So if you want a unique treasure, unique opportunity, bring your book, have Olivia sign it.
I love it. Olivia's a treat, folks. Come out, meet Olivia, come meet Michael. And then more importantly, we're going to talk anything, questions about the economy, questions about financial news, where we're at in the market, all of that. You'll get to really get firsthand coaching and wisdom from Michael. I'll be there sharing. Chino is also going to be there. He's a Sub 2 community member. Michael, thank you for all that you do.
Amazing, brother. Look forward to it.